back, viewers. It's James Kalm, your half-assed reporter, the guy in the pike, and we're in West Chelsea. Special shout out to our viewers in Melbourne, Berlin, and Brussels. We want to run in here to the YANCEY Richardson Gallery and take a look at an exhibition by Mickalene Thomas titled Je t'adore. Stay tuned. September 1981, 2023, rhinestones on dyed sublimation prints. Well, I started seeing Mickalene's work probably 20 years ago, something like that, at one of the local art fairs. There was a gallery. It was a partnership, and it had been known as the E.M. Donahue Gallery in the East Village days, but it had changed into something else anyway. These people were showing Mickalene's work at an art fair, and well, it caught my eye, and I've been keeping track of her work ever since. So this is 63 by 57. I've been very surprised, rewarded, impressed with Mickalene's ascension in the art world. Also, I just have to say that I think she's got a lot of just natural talent, and she's very inventive. So they're calling these dye sublimation prints, and they're saying that a lot of this is printed actually onto metal sheets. And then Mickalene cuts them, puts them together, and then adds her bling, her rhinestones. Debuting these new works, Thomas investigates the notion of desire, memory, sexuality, and transformation through images of everyday, familiar black women positioned and posed as alluring beauties. Throughout her career, Thomas has combined abstraction and figuration and pushed the conventions of painting, photography, collage, and printmaking beyond the traditional limits, often incorporating unconventional materials in her work. In these new photo collages, each figure is surrounded by abstract shapes of decorative patterns, suggestive of the era from which they arrive. Printed directly on metal using a dye sublimation process, the individual elements of each work are cut out and layered one on top of the other, creating a dimensional surface. The result is a dynamic three-dimensional construction that undercuts any narrative reading, draws attention to the fluidity of identity, collectiveness of culture, and malleability of history in modern society. It's October 1981. Well, on my initial sweep, I was thinking that a lot of this had to be referencing some kind of girly magazines from the 70s or 80s. And It says here that the 14 large-scale mixed-media photo collages are inspired by her research into the imagery of black female erotica, featured in the calendar of Jet magazine and the pages of the 1950s French publication Nus Exotique. So I was thinking, one of the interesting things about this is that Mickalene has kind of combined the Ben-Day dots of the color things with black and white, and you've got different scales of the dots. Also, I think that some of the different layers are printed on different things, like some kind of a board, or maybe it's metal, but it's painted white or something. And yeah, the rhinestones are a nice touch. I've been noticing, well, a certain strain of work, a certain vein that's been, I think, probably influenced a lot by Mickalene, that are into the bling, the rhinestones, the gems, the beads, the sparkle. I think I spend a lot of time at the Outsider Fair, and there's always a couple of booths that are featuring the beaded flags. This is back cover, 1981-2023. Rhinestones on dye sublimation prints. Well, Mickalene is saying she's doing research using the fold-outs, or the calendar models from Jet and this other magazine. And yeah, that was like the people that always said, oh yeah, I subscribe to Playboy magazine, but I only get it so I can read the articles because they're so good. Also, one of the visitors came in and noted the wall murals, or the installation that they've presented these pieces on, which is kind of interesting, and it also has some things in the window. Kind of relates to Mickalene's collage practice. July 1981. Rhinestones on dye sublimation prints. This is 68 by 56. Oh gosh, and these are in editions. So this is an edition of 3. Okay, so Mickalene is also a great photographer and did a whole series of things, I guess, based on her mother, maybe some other relatives. Okay, so we've got our basic layer here. We've got that gold section. We've got a black and white, grainy textural photograph. There's something behind there that then sort of pops out there. It's black and white. Okay, so that's nice. We've got black and white and sepia tone. It's kind of funny, the rhinestone lines, the colored lines that Mickalene adds in there, kind of adds a simplifying factor, almost childlike, but in a certain way it kind of takes an edge off the erotic part of it, maybe. This is November 1981. I also like the way that Mickalene has kind of limited her palette. So this one is kind of grays, silver grays, black and white. Got some kind of grainy photographs, but even those are limited down to the kind of the orange pink and the blue gray. And then yeah, she keeps the rhinestones down to maybe 2 or 3 colors. Because I really think that when you're using this kind of shiny, bright, brilliant material, you can really get carried away with it, and you kind of lose the intensity of the content. December 1981, 2023. This is 58 by 48. Okay, also some of these have kind of a irregular edge, like this one. And then some of them are more straight rectangles that fit into a box frame. And again, I was talking about how the drawing with the colored rhinestones, and it detracts a bit from the straight humanity. It's almost cartoon-like. But if you kind of draw back and look through it, you can still see the woman. Let's look at some of the smaller work. This is very nice. I like the small scale. Somehow the scale of the rhinestones versus the figure in the photograph is just right. It's also going to say, almost looks like the silhouette of the Playboy bunny in there with the 2 ears sticking up. This is 15 by 12. Nus Exotique number 1, 2023, rhinestone on dye sublimation prints. So I guess this would be the French magazine. I was also thinking that Andy Warhol did a whole series of pieces dealing with drag queens back in the 70s, and kind of the way that these are chopped up makes me think a little bit of that, the color sections. Nus Exotique number 2. This is 28 by 27. Exotiques. Exotiques number 4. This also kind of makes me think of Josephine Baker, and I think she's almost a national hero in France. I think she's probably had postage stamps dedicated to her and all kinds of things. Also, this is it's interesting. We've got this little white stripe in there, kind of floats over the top of all of the other parts of this. April 1981. It's an edition of 3. This is 16 by 13. Nus Exotiques, number 5. Okay, I like the way this is playing with the mirror image. And then you've got the other aspects of this, which are the layers of collage. And the different sections that are straight black and white, other are sepia toned. So that was a rough cut run through of Mickalene Thomas, Je t'adore. Here at Yancey Richardson, we're going to try to squeeze in another show. Stay tuned. Yes, friends, we're gonna run in here now. To Hunter and Dunbar, and we're gonna look at an exhibition by Michael A. Cummings, storyteller, a 6-decade survey. I drove by the gallery a week or so ago and looked through the window and was very impressed. Actually, I think they were having an opening and it was just too crowded for me to come in at the time. But I said, I'm gonna come back for this. It's called Henry Matisse and Harlem's Cotton Club 2018. I was thinking that that looked like Henry Matisse. Maybe this is Josephine Baker, I don't know. I also was thinking I would pair this up with the Mickalene Thomas show. And this is 78 by 64. Applique quilt, machine sewn, quilted with embellishments. This is Brazilian Love Goddess. Applique quilt, machine sewn, quilted with embellishments. Well, yeah, there's a lot of embellishments in there. We've got some little, it's like wooden birds and beads. If you've been following the report for any time, you know that I'm a big fan of outsider art and what has been called American Southern art. And one of the groups that was very interesting for me at the Bill Arnett collection was his Guy Bend quilters. And in a certain way, this kind of carries on that tradition, but going in a very decorative, very extravagant angle of that. This is titled Take My Brother Home, 91 by 53. This is 1993. James Baldwin, Born into a Lie, number 2, 2019. This is interesting. We did a report on Buford Delaney, maybe a year or so ago, and it was a show of his portraits, and he must have had maybe 3 portraits of James Baldwin. And I guess they were companions, friends. This is 70 by 58. Also this, the red X over the face is interesting. We've got the Confederate battle flag in there. I think James Baldwin was maybe one of the most articulate and poetic critics of the race status in America over a very long period of time. Oh, this is punchy. This is homage to Nelson Mandela. 2014. Applique quilt machine, sewing quilted and embellishments. Yes, I'm sure the embellishments would run into a couple of paragraphs in its own right. And these the yellow rose things are very nice. We've got a tribal mask there. Mandela for president, the people's choice. Sekunjalo K. Nako. Island, 1964. This must be the time that he was imprisoned there. 1988. Well, they say in the press release that Michael began his career as a painter, relocating from California to New York City in 1970. And I was just looking at this and thinking that some of this especially the collage aspects of it, made me think of Romer Bearden, someone I've been looking at for 50 some odd years, admiring. So this is titled African Jazz, 1990. It's 108 by 72. I wonder if Michael considers these as tapestries or blankets, paintings. Also, there's a lot of fantastic color things going on. And, well, I often talk about being a painter and how I love what you can do with the various surfaces and glosses and glazes and things. And this kind of fabric collage is even more varied as far as surfaces and gloss and shines and other kinds of interesting things.
Okay, that's cool.
This is a suite of drawings. These are actually oil crayon cut paper and silk flowers on paper. Water Lilies at Sunset 1. This is from 1978, 15 by 18. Sunset number 4. So from 1978. They look very fresh. Number 2. Number 1. Let's go back into the next gallery. Oh gosh, this is a nice piece. Sun Goddess 3, 1975. Mylar and collage on poster board. 13 by 14. This may be one of the oldest pieces in the show. Mother Earth, 1975. Textile construction, felt, patent leather, rayon, and ceramic beads. I kind of like this one. It's got a very subtle, toned down palette. And then you got some hot little pattern areas in there. I'm also thinking that Michael has got a kind of cubistic sensibility. Maybe that was something he inherited from Romer. Josephine Baker in Cabaret 2000. Well, I knew that Josephine Baker was going to have to pop up at some point. Applique quilt machine, sewn and quilted with embellishments. This is 84 by 84. Some 2000. Okay, so we've got some pretty thick and pleated embellishments. I think there's some great aspects of the idea of the quilting You can use that to kind of create a pattern and kind of a subtle linear thing going on. And that would be interesting to know how much time Michael spends sewing these together. A lot of detail work in some of these figures. This is another big piece. This is African Jazz number 10. I'll read a little bit from the press release. Dunbar Projects is pleased to announce the first retrospective exhibition of work by Michael A. Cummings, born 1945, Los Angeles, a leading figure in contemporary textile art. Storyteller, a 6-decade survey, will feature an example of the artist's practice from 1969 to 2019, many of which have never been seen in public. Cummings has recently been awarded the 2023 National Endowment for the Arts National Heritage Fellowship and will be honored at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. on September 29th, 2023. Cummings began his artistic career as a painter, relocating from California to New York City in 1970. Influenced by his relationships with Romare Bearden, Faith Reingold, and Betty Andrews, the artist began experimenting with fabric collage and applique techniques in 1975. Realizing this new approach offered him an endless palette of fabric colors and prints and designs. Since then, Cummings' work has centered on intricate, large-scale art quilts defined by iconographic portraiture, symbolism, patterned textiles, and applique objects. Yamea 2018. It's 94 by 66. Well, I would just, from a cursory walkthrough, I would say that Michael's work has gotten more and more flashy, blingy, zippy, punchy, and yeah, so he's got more and more the metallics, and the embellishments are getting more extravagant. It's like some fertility figures. I got the man and the woman, maybe. Actually, when I drove by the other night, I looked down the hallway, and even though there were people in here, I could see this one at the end of the hall, I don't know, 90 feet from the street, and it's one of the things that made me come back. They had puka shells. Just as I am a precious gift. I'm also impressed with the way that Michael uses the quilting. So in some sections you just have this kind of an implication of the patterning. Other places it's more profound. When I was talking about the time it would take to do that, that's very tedious work. Okay, so we got our little initials on there. Gee, I wonder what that, George Washington, T.J. Thomas Jefferson, maybe. Also, wonderful the way that he's divided up the space, and also the colors kind of come to a crescendo towards the center of the composition there. Okay, so we've got a wall of drawings, works on paper. I'm not going to give you the titles on all this. We'll kind of skim over here and look at this. But okay, so one of them has got a photogram. Thomas M. Macer, director of the Solomon Guggenheim Museum. Okay. There's an Egyptian lotus. So these are collage, acrylic, and oil crayon on paper. These are all from 1977 and 1978. Okay, I like this. Easter Island Guardians, 1980. So we got some burlap, other kinds of interesting fabrics and things. This is New Guinea 1, circa 1980s. Fabric, oil, creme, wood, and feathers on paper. This is 15 by 22. New Guinea number 2, 1980s. Fabric, oil, creme, wood, feathers on paper. And I think we'll end up on this one. This seems the most timely. President Obama goes to India 2015. This is 66 by 47. Michael really kind of gives you the sense of some of the Indian painters, the portraits of Shiva the Destroyer, or some of the other Hindu gods. And, well, that's one of the wonderful things about using collage, is you can actually take pieces of stuff that are produced in another culture and bring them in and kind of cross-reference your social references. Looks like Frida Kahlo. Oh, it does say Mexico on there. Okay. And again, like one of the Hindu gods, we've got the many arms, but who are we dealing with? We got Israel, Palestine, we're still dealing with this. China, Iran, Russia, Pakistan, Indian, ISIS. Okay, so this is 2015, President Obama, and it just goes to show you that some things never change. But this is really a beautiful piece. This is James Kalm reporting on Michael A. Cummings, Storyteller, a 6-decade survey here at Hunter and Dunbar. You can like this, share, subscribe, link it up to all your social media sites, and you can leave your thoughts, ideas, comments, criticisms, reviews, suggestions below. And as I always say, you can subscribe as long as you say, thank you, Kate. Thank you.